Today is Friday, February 17th, 2023, and we're now at the burden of Egypt. And Egypt is a big one. There's all sorts of programming for those in control want to tell us what ancient Egypt was like. And the reason that they so strongly want to tell us what ancient Egypt was like is because it's biblical. Ancient Egypt is biblical, so there's going to be a biblical truth, and then there's going to be the bullshit that the mainstream people push. Why does the Bible never mention pyramids in Egypt? If everybody today, when you mention Egypt, their mind goes immediately to the pyramids. Why is there no mention of the pyramids in the Bible? Oh, maybe because everything out of the mainstream today is a bunch of bullshit, and if you want truth, you have to actually go to the source for yourself and look. So I don't personally think Egypt had anything to do with the pyramids. I think the French Freemasons built the pyramids in what we call modern day Egypt. But anyways, I read through a little bit of this. This is just such an amazing chapter of the Bible. I just want to read it start to finish and make as few comments as possible. Just things that I notice is how thick the magic was in Egypt. It takes me back to how Moses was performing miracles, but the Pharaoh had his own group of magicians that were doing their version. And there's an interesting part in here that prophesizes that Egypt is going to fall through a civil war, which I find very interesting, because I think that the American Civil War was a huge hoax made by the American Freemasons. And maybe it was an homage to this Egyptian civil war. And I don't remember hearing in history class, they just tell you that the Egyptians made pyramids and they give you these weird explanations of how they did it. And hieroglyphics and stuff. That's what you learn in school. I don't remember Egyptian civil war being a major reason for why ancient Egypt fell. And I'm not sure, you can go research this stuff. I'm sure that historians try to pinpoint what parts of history are what's going on in here. But I just don't pay attention to mainstream anything. And I just go to the Bible. And I think that the Bible is the best historical source. So I just believe what's in here. And whatever history says is probably a bunch of BS. Like, I really don't think that ancient Egyptians were building the pyramids in what we call Egypt today. I just don't. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to read through this then. And that'll be it. Isaiah chapter 19. The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be washed and dried up. Actually, this is another thing I wanted to point out, because I've been mentioning it in these recent videos. The idea of terraforming and blocking rivers as a form of warfare, to completely divert waterways as a form of warfare, I think would be an obvious way to fight kingdoms in times past. So that's just what I read here. Especially verse 6. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and flags shall wither. The paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither be driven away, and be no more. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the water shall languish. Moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave networks shall be confounded. And they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish. So they were even fish farming. Surely the princes of Zoan are fools. The counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh is become brutish. How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings? Where are they? Where are thy wise men? And let them tell thee now, and let them know what the Lord of hosts hath purposed upon Egypt. The princes of Zoan are become fools, the princes of Noph are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his own vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. Okay, so that could be maybe taken as a misogynistic type verse in 16, but I think they're just saying, like, maybe not as powerful. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about verses like that? I think that they probably mean, I mean, obviously in times past, like having a son, people would think is like the most amazing blessing as compared to having a daughter. So they're kind of saying it's like a demotion for sure there. It is kind of awkward, but I think that is what they mean there. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he hath determined against it. It's like people won't even want to associate with Egypt anymore. In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan, and swear to the Lord of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction. In that day shall there be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord. And it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto the Lord because of the oppressors, and he shall send them a Saviour, and a great one, and he shall deliver them. And the Lord shall be known to Egypt, and the Egyptians shall know the Lord in that day, and shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yea, they shall vow a vow unto the Lord, and perform it. And the Lord shall smite Egypt, he shall smite and heal it, and they shall return even to the Lord, and he shall be entreated of them, and shall heal them. In that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrian shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptian into Assyria, and the Egyptian shall serve with the Assyrians. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom the Lord of hosts shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt my people, and Assyria the work of my hands, and Israel mine inheritance. Very interesting how there's these 3 places, these 3 peoples coming together. Very interesting. I'll have to research the history of this. Any of you guys know the historical context of what's going on here? Interesting. So, I mean, just to paraphrase what I think the prophecy that just happened, Isaiah's like, Egypt is going to fall big time. And I also see connections to Ecclesiastes in the fact that these great people build this great empire and then fools take their place. It's exactly what was going on in Ecclesiastes. He was lamenting that, and maybe he had seen that happen in certain kingdoms during his lifetime. I just thought of, you know how in life every once in a while you run into people that are just exceptional at something, and there's not always going to be people to take everybody's place like that. I think of that in these kingdoms, that they have golden eras or where it's just a special time, and it'll never be like that again. I feel like that today too, how, I mean, today is the golden era of certain things, of being able to buy something, some random thing on Amazon, and it shows up at your door the next day, or being able to communicate in real time basically with somebody all the way across the world. Yeah, we're in a golden age of that, but we're in a bad age for a lot of other things, you know, things like planned obsolescence and just really evil things that shouldn't exist, that are commonplace today, that prove that we're not really, you know, this is no Roman Empire when Rome owned the whole world, and nobody's building temples anymore that are supposed to last thousands of years. That just doesn't happen. All right, well, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. God bless everyone. before I finish, I just want to make some more comments about this verse 16 and the women thing, because I think that a lot of it is just our modern day interpretation. My mind and like immediately goes there of like, oh, are they trying to down talk women? Egypt has become like a woman, you know, just grade school type insults where a boy is acting a certain way and you say, oh, you're a girl or whatever. That was my initial gut reaction to it. But it's entirely possible that he's not being misogynistic at all here, Isaiah, and maybe it just represents feminine energy. And that may be a bad thing for a kingdom. It's called a kingdom for a reason, not a queendom. And so I think that's maybe why he goes there and says it's like a woman. Because who wants a kingdom to be like a woman? It's a kingdom, not a queendom. So I don't, and a lot of feminist people would take that very offensively, but it's one of those just, you have to realize that there's differences between men and women, and man is the head of the household, and kingdoms should have a masculine energy ruling over them. And maybe that's why he went there with this. Your kingdom is now a queendom. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. Maybe too, it means like a new beginning, like a fertility. There's other aspects of femininity that don't even have to, you don't have to make it as being like a worse thing than another. Women, maybe talking about, yeah, the fact that it's like a new beginning. So like a woman could represent, yeah, that people are going to come, new people are going to come and establish a new kingdom. Whereas you would think of men going and getting stuff as opposed to like starting a new thing. I don't know. I'm just spouting off ideas here, what I think it could represent. Just feminine ideas of that, which maybe is more of a new beginning thing. I don't know. Is that a thing? Would a new city have more of a feminine energy to it as opposed to a well-established kingdom? I don't know. I'm just talking. But I don't think that it's necessarily the correct interpretation. And I know I mentioned it the first time that I talked about it. I'm not 100% sure that Isaiah was trying to be like negative at all by referring to it like a woman. Even though in Old Testament times for sure, women did not have the same rights as men and they were frowned upon. And it's not like people were super excited to be having women or, you know, girls instead of boys when they had, people really thought that you were super blessed if you just had nothing but boys. People would think you're so blessed. Oh, God must really love you. You had nothing but boys. So I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment. What do you think about Egypt being like a woman? But my initial reaction was that kind of schoolyard, oh yeah, you're a girl type insult. But I think that it's probably deeper than that. Hope you enjoyed the video. God bless everyone.